Alright, what's up? It's your boy Mitro. It's been 2 weeks since I've stopped Valium, Diazepam, Alprazolam, which is Xanax, and Kratom. Last time I took these three things was in November. Not November, my bad. New Year's Eve. So the last time was like probably towards midnight, around midnight, January 1st. So I think it's now 2/23, January 15th. So it's been now hits the 2 week mark since I last touched these substances. And for those people saying that, oh, you're not a true benzo addict, in my last video for 1 week off of benzodiazepines, let me tell you something. When I was 15 years old, I was prescribed Cipramil and I was prescribed Alprazolam. I used and I got hooked onto these substances, and I abused these substances when I was 15 years old. Eventually, long story short, I ended up seeing a psychiatrist because the family doctor just wrote the script for me like freely, misdiagnosing my depression, and I didn't have anxiety at the time. I just got given the Alprazolam to go to sleep. But I did that for 30 days. I took the 0.25 milligrams of Alprazolam at nighttime as a doctor prescribed, and the Cipramil in the morning, 20 milligrams off of that. After about 30 days of that, I had to up my dosage because I literally could not fall asleep on one pill of Alprazolam, which is Xanax. I could not fall asleep off of one pill. So I had to up it to 2. So then that just cascaded, and I ended up abusing a whole bunch of drugs like pharmaceutical drugs when I was 15 years old, because on the weekends as well, I was drinking and I was smoking weed, and I was I was just like a rebellious teenager. But through all the substance abuse, I was eventually then switched off of Cipramil and Alprazolam, which is Xanax. I was eventually switched off of that after seeing another psychiatrist to Zoloft, which is another antidepressant. It's an SSRI, and Cipramil is SSRI. Zoloft is just another antidepressant, but it's long. It's a long-acting one. And then I was switched from benzos to Stilnox CR, 12.5 milligrams. Which is a sleeping pill. But long story short, I ended up abusing these drugs along with weed, along with alcohol. It got to the habitual daily usage of all these substances together, and then I ended up getting kicked out of school when I was 15 years old. Fast forward, going to the summer when I returned to Finland, I ended up in the psych ward for a 72-hour assessment. What led up to the events of me ending up in the psych ward, I'm not going to get into this video because that is a dark chapter of my life. But fast forward a few years, I got released eventually after the 72 hours because they realized that I didn't clinically have I wasn't clinically mentally insane, and I didn't belong there. But being in a psych ward at 15 years old, that was one of the worst experiences of my fucking life. Those 72 hours, those 3 days, I fucking hated that shit. And I have not talked about that to anyone. Only certain people know about that, man. I don't think I've told any friends about that, to be honest. But I'm just gonna put that out there. I've been in the psych ward when I was 15 years old. And then fast forward a few years later, when I was 17, turning 18, in my senior year of high school, towards the end of my exams, I got severe anxiety about the exams and just life in general. So again, I was put on Cipramil and Xanax, this time by Pfizer. So now the dosage for Xanax was take 1 tablet in the morning, take 1 tablet in the afternoon, but I was given a 6-month supply, so of course I was actually using it as instructed at the time. I wasn't abusing it, to be honest, because I had my past history of abuse. I knew where that led, right? So I was on that for around 2 months, and then we had our summer Euro trip with my friends from my previous school, and we visited a few countries in Europe, because I was living in Europe at the time. We visited a few countries in Europe. Fast forward to Berlin. One night in Berlin, I think we took, I'm just going to say it, we took ecstasy. And I didn't want to fry my brain, which was already probably kind of fucked up because I had a long history of substance abuse throughout my teenage years. But I didn't want to fry my brain with antidepressants and Xanax, which I was still currently taking at the time of the trip. And drinking and still smoking weed and smoking cigarettes. But I didn't want to fry my brain with ecstasy and these pharmaceutical drugs. So I decided to just quit taking the pharmaceutical drugs. But after that night in Berlin of taking, so I decided to quit pharmaceutical drugs. And then fast forward to me being 19 years old. I'm just going to time skip. I'm not going to go into really details about this because this was the darkest period of my life when I was 18, 19 and early 20s. This was rock bottom for me. If you've watched some of my earlier videos about me talking about being sober during my cannabis and alcohol, sobriety videos, I've mentioned that I've hit rock bottom before, that I've been a lot worse than what this substance use that I've experienced now is. And trust me, it's been a nightmare before. Fast forward to me being 19 years old, I had to return home. I was living by myself, but I had to return home because I was a heavy drinker, and I was using other substances that I'm not going to name that kind of led me to get kind of fucked up, almost in a, you could say, pretty much in a drug-induced psychosis state, I guess. I thought that I was living in a dream. It got to the point where I thought I was living in a dream and that reality wasn't real, and that that I would wake up from it. So I had to return home. It's not funny, but it's my little backstory for the people who are saying, "Oh, you're not a true benzo addict." Man, I've been on benzos for a number of years, a number of different periods of time, and a number of years. But long story short, I had to return home. I still had the 4 month. I was given a 6-month supply of Xanax by a home visit doctor when I was 17 going into 18. And like I said, I stopped taking my meds during the Euro trip, and I didn't even have the full supply with me during the Euro trip. The majority of it was at home, so that when I returned home when I was 19, I still had all these trays of the Pfizer Xanax. Whether they were expired or not, I have no idea, but all I know is I had like a 4-month supply of Xanax, and I was still drinking 2 to 3 liters of like rosé a day, plus liters on liters of beer. And before I switched to rosé and beer, I was drinking a lot of heavy spirits and heavy. I was just drinking like spirits, like mainly whiskey and then gin and tonic. I wasn't drinking beer much. But I'm not going to talk about my alcohol usage in that period of my life right now that much. It's really something that I need to talk to a therapist about and open up to a therapist about. I'm just giving you guys a bit of a backstory, but I ended up abusing that for like 2 months while I was at home, which is kind of fucked up. It was dark times for both my family and myself, but I never went to rehab, which is what I should have done in retrospect. But man, I don't know. I was just so fucking out of it at that point. But for 2 months, I was drinking heavily, and I was. It took me like 2 months to get through that 4-month supply of Xanax, and then I was drinking heavily, and then eventually I got switched to like a time release benzo. I don't know what it was called, but it was like, man, it didn't hit the same as Xanax did, like the 0.25 milligrams that I was given. It didn't hit the same, and had this like sticky coating that I couldn't get rid of. I would try and crush the tablets, try and put hot water in it and like mix it, like make it like a little tea, and then drink it like that to make it hit me faster, because it was a time release benzo, and it just didn't hit the same. So eventually I got off of benzos, but I was always heavily drinking during that period of time. And then eventually we moved countries, and I found a dealer, and I started smoking cannabis again. And that's what really like started calming my alcohol usage down. And thanks to cannabis, that's how I actually quit cigarettes. And that's how I actually got sober from alcohol for the first time. How I quit both tobacco and cigarettes was through the use of cannabis. I was just using cannabis heavily, and then eventually I let cannabis go. So I think at 21, I was completely sober for around 6 months from everything. And then I started smoking weed again, because it generally, in small doses, it generally helped me out. I started smoking only like 0.2 grams, literally 0.2 grams per week, only per week. So it started out really innocent. I did this for maybe like a month or so, but then come Christmas holidays, I think I went to Colorado Springs or some shit. At the time I was living in America. I'm just going through my whole life story right now, aren't I? At the time I was moving through America, I went to Colorado, I got a dispensary, I got a little bit more weed, I got a few ounces of bud, and then I started smoking more and more, and then the more I smoked, the more I used. Eventually I fell back into like daily usage, and it affected my life. And then come lockdown, I started drinking again. Eventually, then I had to go back home eventually. I'm not going to get into the specific details of why I went home and like what I was doing during this time, because it's probably the darkest period of my life, like I said, and it's not something that I really think about. These are like repressed thoughts that I need to seek out probably a therapist for, like I said, which I will do in 1 or 2 months once I'm more settled down here in Bangkok, Thailand, which I plan to spend the next like 6 months or 1 year here. And I have some future plans, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. It's not really relevant. But yeah, I ended up turning back home for lockdown during the COVID time, and that's when I relapsed with alcohol. But like I said, then eventually in 2021, I believe, I was able to kick alcohol, and that's when I stopped smoking cigarettes in 2021, right? Or was it 2022? No, I think in November 2021 is when I stopped smoking cigarettes. That's like 2 years from now, isn't it? It's 2024 now. 2021, 2022, 2023, yeah, because it's been over 2 years now that I stopped smoking cigarettes. So thanks to cannabis, I was able to get sober from alcohol and both tobacco, but but I've relapsed with alcohol multiple times. Last time I relapsed with alcohol was I stopped drinking again for like a year or so, and then I relapsed again with alcohol. I stopped drinking for 500 days actually, and then I relapsed with alcohol last year on April 14th, and then I quit. I'm now 5 months sober from alcohol, and I'm going to hit 5 months of sobriety from cannabis tomorrow, January 16th. I quit cannabis 2 days after my birthday. I quit alcohol a few days before I quit cannabis, but it was thanks to cannabis again that I was able to stop drinking. And cannabis is, when used correctly, has been beneficial in my life, but due to my addictive personality, I always end up using way too much. I always end up, I'm just a dopamine fiend at the end of the day. So what starts out as harmless use always turns into daily use, and then as the tolerance builds up, it just gets fucking out of control, like to the point where I just get super fucked up, and I can't function. Like, that's how bad it gets. Eventually, it always starts out small, and then it always fucking skyrockets, you know. But that's a little backstory about me. So for the people that said that, oh, you're not a true benzo addict, first of all, it was never my intent to use benzodiazepines for the long term this time around, and it was never my intention to get on Xanax. I fucked up. When I was in Vietnam, I saw a vlog of some dude getting Xanax at a pharmacy. I mean, getting diazepam at a pharmacy. So that's what really got me onto diazepam. And then I saw another vlogger on his 50K questions and answers. He said when he first started vlogging that he was super nervous and super shy in front of the camera and had really bad like anxiety recording himself in public, and he would just pop a Valium to calm down, and that's how he made his first few vlogs, and that he wouldn't recommend it. So now you have these two ideas implanted in my head. Fast forward to me being in Vietnam. The first pharmacy that I went to, which was in a super small town, I literally have a vlog of this, or I have footage of this. I don't know if I actually made the actual vlog of me going pharmacy hopping. I don't think I did, because that's kind of illegal. What I did, I got prescription medication from a pharmacy without actually having a prescription, right? I went pharmacy hopping in one random ass city in Vietnam where there were no other tourists. It was literally me. Everyone was super friendly. Everyone was saying hello. Like all the young kids riding their scooters, like, or their bicycles, were saying like hello, hello, like they'd never seen a black guy in their city, right? I got some old grandpa on his walking stick, literally like just staring at me in disbelief, and then me walking past him like even turning around like with his cane, like looking at me like, bro, like the first time seeing a black guy. So it was just funny. But I went to around 20 different pharmacies, and I only found one that was willing to give me 5 milligrams of Zepam, which is diazepam. And I got 2 sheets that day. I wanted to buy the whole box, but the pharmacist would only sell me 2 sheets. This was a random ass city, and most of the pharmacies that I visited, if they were official branch, like if they were official chains, like they would tell me to go to the hospital, or they would just say they didn't have it. But there were a lot of like smaller mom and pop shop pharmacies or hole in the wall pharmacies that weren't part of these like big brand chain pharmacies that would have sold it to me, but they just didn't have it in stock because I was in the random ass town in random ass city in Vietnam in the middle of like nowhere. Like I said, I was the only foreigner there, but I was only there for 1 day. Then I went to Dang Na for 3 nights, and this is where I stockpiled everything. That and Ho Chi Minh, but mainly Dang Na. I went pharmacy hopping there for a few days. I think first I was there for 3 days. I think for 2 days I was looking for, the first day there I was looking for different pharmacies to find stuff from, and then eventually I stumbled onto 2 pharmacies that sold both diazepam and Alprazolam, so both Valium and Xanax, at very, very cheap prices. I'm not going to go into how cheap they are, but I will say I got my 5 milligrams of diazepam 10 tablets for $1.36. I got it for 40,000 in Vietnamese dong, so you guys can do the like translation into your own currency, but that's dirt cheap. For 10 tablets of 5 milligrams of Valium for 40,000 Vietnamese dong, which is like $1.36. So I found these 2 pharmacies in Dang Na, which is a major tourist city now, that were willing to sell me a diazepam and that had massive stockpiles of it, both diazepam and Alprazolam. So what I ended up doing eventually was I got 3 boxes of, I got 300 pills, so 3 boxes of 10 times 10 sheets, actually a little bit more, of 10 milligrams of diazepam. At one of the pharmacies, when I bought a whole box, the pharmacist gave me some extra extra trays. It was fucked up. There are literally, some of them were, they just don't care, bro. They literally just don't care. I went in saying that I needed, like on Google Translate, I went in saying that I needed epilepsy I needed medication for minor epilepsy seizures, because that's what I read on a YouTube comment. I was searching up on YouTube Vietnam pharmacies, how they work, right? And there was this one guy that was explaining how to get certain things, and on one of the comments, one of the dudes said that don't go into the pharmacy saying you need it for anxiety, otherwise they'll send you to the hospital. Say that you need it for minor epilepsy seizures, and they'll just hand it out to you. But I went to these two pharmacies, didn't give a fuck, man. Like I didn't need to. That's what I showed them on the phone, but they didn't care. They were more than willing to sell me whatever I wanted in whatever quantities I wanted, and it was very, very cheap. So I stockpiled. I had over 300 pills probably of 10 milligrams of diazepam, which is Valium, and then I stockpiled on another 3 boxes of 10 times 10 sheets of Xanax, of Alprazolam. And that's where I kind of fucked up, because my intention was first to just take it to make better vlogs and to feel less stressed out and reduce my anxiety, because at this time I was just traveling and I was feeling really lonely. I was traveling throughout the Philippines and Vietnam in unfamiliar places, but since I don't drink alcohol, I don't engage in nightlife activities. My routine would literally be me waking up early in the morning, going out vlogging for the entire day, then coming back to the hotel room at night where I sit alone and edit videos, and then I was editing like vlogs, or trying to edit vlogs daily, and then publish it on my YouTube channel. Now I was in unfamiliar territory. When I was in the Philippines and Vietnam, so that kind of made me depressed. And then in the smaller cities in Vietnam, I was in some places where they did not speak English at all, so I was just using Google Translate, and then booking like bus tickets and online, and going to all these unfamiliar places, traveling every day. I was just stretching myself too thin. I was just super tired all the time, and I was just super lonely. And I will say this, in Vietnam, everyone is super friendly. In the first city where I got the 5 milligrams of diazepam, the evening walk that I did, after taking 5 milligrams for the first time of Valium, I felt super good and super nice. And some random guys even were sitting and eating dinner, and they invited me to join them and like have a party with them to eat and drink. And I probably wouldn't have had to pay anything, so they were super friendly. They just wanted to... they were interested in me because I was a tourist, and they invited me. They were like, "Hey, do you want to come? We welcome you to the city, and you're welcome to come party with us." But since I don't drink alcohol, I said, "Oh, sorry, I have an early morning tomorrow. I have to get to sleep," which I did. I had a train ride in the morning to go to Dang Na, my next city, which is where I stockpiled everything. And after stockpiling those drugs and having such a big supply, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to only use them when I need to. My logic was, I'm going to only use them when I need to calm myself down, to create vlogs when I'm in stressed out situations, or when I need to take a nap if I'm traveling on long train rides or long bus rides or long flights, right? But what ended up happening was I started using more and more Valium. I started using more and more Xanax. And then fast forward to November 22nd, when I come back to Bangkok, Thailand. Of course, I brought all the pills with me in my suitcase that I bought in Vietnam. And then I ended up getting on Kratom, which I don't even know how the fuck I discovered Kratom or whatever it was. But maybe I watched a vlog or some shit, probably. But I ended up searching up Kratom spots, and I literally have a vlog of me going to a few different spots and like a few different Kratom vendors, and then I was mixing kratom, Xanax, and Valium for a few weeks. And this is where shit started getting out of control. This is where I literally, this is embarrassing to say, but some nights I pissed the bed of some of the, like 2 nights I pissed the bed of the hotel rooms where I was sleeping, because I was so fucking sedated and I was just so relaxed, but I didn't go to the bathroom, or I had drank so much liquids that I didn't go to the bathroom and empty myself before going to bed. So I would be in this deep sleep for fucking hours, and then when I woke up, the sheets were wet. That was fucked up for me to say, but I mean, it's the truth. And I got into this super fucking, I was in such a fucking, I was just sedated every single day for a number of weeks. Especially coming evening time, I would then just order some food off of Grab app, like some McDonald's or some shit. And then I would just drink my kratom, pop my Xanax, pop my Valium while editing vlogs. Now, this probably came out to me creating utter shit content, and I was kind of depressed that one of my hard drives broke as well, which I lost a lot of content from. I lost all my content from the Philippines and Vietnam at that time. Now my hard drive is back in Europe being repaired. I tried repairing it in Vietnam, but the place, I wasn't staying in Vietnam long enough for them to fix it properly. I tried repairing it here in Thailand, went to 2 different data recovery centers. They said they couldn't recover the data here, so maybe they just don't have the specialists or the technology that's viable to recover it. But now I sent my hard drive to my family in Europe. They sent it to a data recovery center, and that data recovery center said they can extract that data, but at a very costly price. But it has so much footage that I've recorded that I'm paying that price for that data. So hopefully I can get the content from the Philippines and my early Vietnam vlogs before I started abusing Valium and shit, because I honestly think it's some of my best vlog content. But that's another story. So I started abusing Valium, Xanax, and kratom when I was in Bangkok. I was becoming a total mess. I realized that I was spiraling. And then before I even started taking Zepam, before I started taking Valium, I researched it online because I just wanted to be safe about my usage. And I read that it's only prescribed generally benzos are only normally prescribed for short-term periods, that they're not long-term fixes. They're not for the long terms, because benzodiazepines are highly addictive, as I know from my previous use and prescriptions when I was a teenager. And that Valium should only be used for a few weeks to up to like a month max. That's what I read online. So it was never my intention to use these drugs long term, but I did end up stockpiling them, and then I just got out of control with everything. And then when New Year's came around, that was the last time I did all 3 of these things. I said to myself that I was going to quit kratom, because I literally had many nights of me drinking liters of kratom, taking Valium, taking Xanax, where my vision fucking got so fucking blurry. My vision literally got so blurry. My memories, my cognitive function started literally slipping away. I had a few conversations with some family members that made me sound that they even were like concerned for my fucking health. They said that your memory sounds super, like they mentioned like you sound really sedated right now, and you sound like you're really forgetful. And I had some embarrassing phone calls with some family members, being in this fucked up state where I could barely type on my phone, I could barely type on my laptop, I could literally like barely type correctly on my phone. That's how like sedated I was, and that's how fucking blurry my vision was. I literally thought my eyesight was fucking I literally thought my eyesight was going at a certain point, but it was just all the fucking it was all the diazepam, it was all the Valium, the Xanax, and the kratom that I was drinking that was making my vision fucking blurry and making me zombified. fucking sedated mess. So now that I stopped all that for 2 weeks, I feel much better. And now I'm going to end this video by saying, this has just been me rambling and ranting. I just can't sleep tonight for whatever reason. I've been fasting for 48 hours on nothing but water now. I'm just trying to slim down. I've started hitting the gym again. But I'm just making this video and giving you guys this backstory for the people that were like, oh, you're not a real benzo addict. And then I got some comments in the held for review section for that specific video that were really nasty, that I had to report, that were really like direct insults towards me. Like some of the comments that I got that were in the held for review section that YouTube automatically flags as spam or abuse, which the comments were definitely abusive. Some people are just miserable, and some people will comment on your life not knowing anything about it. But like I said, it was never my intention to use these pharmaceutical drugs on the long term, because I know their detrimental effects, and I don't want to get cognitive. I don't want to fuck up my neurochemistry. I don't want to fuck up my neurochemistry right now. And I don't want to fuck up my dopamine balance, although I probably have done so. And I don't feel the greatest right now, but I've practiced mindfulness now for a little... practiced like self-improvement and mindfulness for a little bit over a year now. So I'm familiar with meditation, with yoga, with breathing exercises, with exercises going to the gym, taking walks in the park. So I have mindfulness practices in place to deal with sobriety, and it's sort of my first rodeo, so I know what to expect. But on my channel as well, I have a video stating that I got addicted to kratom, that the first 3 days, I had severe muscle aches. I have another vlog on my vlog channel of me taking a coronavirus test, because that's how fucking shit I felt when I stopped all these things coming into the new year. Because here comes 2024. I said to myself, I'm not going to start the new year as a fucking addict, as a fucking mess that I was going into it, right? So that's what just motivated me to get off of all these drugs, is just not to start a new year off of a mess, because I literally went into New Year's again. During New Year's, I took kratom, even though I had been off kratom a few days that night. But then I took a bunch of Xanax, I took a bunch of Valium, and then I found a cannabis shop that sells kratom. So then I ended up buying, like, they had the special deal: buy 3 bottles of kratom, get 1 for free. And I ended up drinking all that shit the same night, man. So I got super fucking sedated again. And then when I woke up, I was like, yo, it's January 1st. What the fuck am I doing with my life? And then I just told myself I can't start the New Year's this way. But for those of people saying, oh, you didn't go through withdrawal, or you didn't do this, like, bro, I'm pretty sure the muscle aches, I don't think they were related to the benzos, because I've never tapered off of benzos. I've always switched substances, but whether it's like alcohol or weed, I've never tapered off of benzos. I've always just quit them, and then I've just used, in the past, alcohol heavily, or in the case when I was 15, I got switched from benzos to Stilnox 12.5 CR. That's when I would use them for months on end. When I was 15, when I was 17, and when I was 19, I used Xanax for months on end. But I never tapered off of it during that time. And now, like I said, for the first week, I felt like utter shit. For the first 2-3 days, literally every muscle in my body, everything was fucking aching. I couldn't get myself out of bed. I was super fatigued. I thought I had coronavirus. On my vlog channel, I put a video of me taking the coronavirus test like 10 days ago, and I put another video of me on this main channel about the kratom, about withdrawal effects of me experiencing this muscle aches, because maybe it was caused by the Valium and the Xanax withdrawals, but I think it was really the kratom, because I bought kratom from various different vendors, and I read online that it has opiate-like effects, and I was using it in large doses. I was drinking liters of kratom per day from various different vendors per day. I would literally do like kratom runs, picking up different bottles of kratom from different vendors on different given days, eventually stockpiling up to like 15 bottles before fucking New Year's. 15 bottles of like 1 liter or 1.5 liter bottles, which was just, man, it was just a lot. I was just on a concoction of so many different sedative drugs. So I felt literally ill for about a week, or a flu-like symptom, and then when I posted that video of me being on benzos, or me being 1 week sober off of benzos, that was me like after 1 week. That was me after I recovered from that phase where I felt ill. But for a long time during that illness phase where all my muscles were aching, I was just supplementing with creatine. I went to the pharmacy to pick up electrolyte packets, and then my mother, I told my mother about it. Yo, shout out to my mom. She told me to go get ibuprofen, and that's what I did for the next few days. I was taking like taking like 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen a day. I was taking like 2 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and then I was drinking electrolyte packets, and I was taking multivitamins. I was taking fish oil. I was trying to saturate my muscles with creatine, because I've been working out. I was working out a lot last year, but I had some setbacks, so I eventually stopped the fitness journey, and now, safe to say, I'm back in the gym. This video is all over the place. Safe to say, I'm back in the gym. Last week, I went 5 out of 5 days. These last 2 rest days, I've just spent inside the hotel room. That's why I'm a little bit manic right now, because fitness is the only thing that fitness is the cornerstone of my mental health, which really grounds me, along with other mindfulness practices such as meditation, yoga, and reading, and then self-study, and then walking nature. But fitness is really the number one thing that like gets me out of my element and gives me that natural high and that rush of endorphins, where I can forget about all my problems in the world when I'm in the gym and when I'm in the flow state. And I'm usually listening to podcasts. But I just want to say that, yeah, that is the backstory for all the people that doubted me. And this is going to be a long ass video of me just rambling and ranting, but it is 3 a.m. and I can't sleep, and I took melatonin as well, which is strange. So maybe this is still the side effects of if I tire myself out in the gym, I can get a good night's sleep, but if I don't do any physical activity, I can't generally sleep that well. And now, since I've also fasted for the last 2 days, I'm just trying to like cleanse my body fully and trying to get slimmer for the gym as well. I'm trying to lose some belly fat. So I opted to do a fast for 48 hours with water, which is something that I am quite familiar with, since during lockdown I would do, once a month I would do like a 72-hour water fast. So fasting for like short periods of like 24 hours or 48 hours is not something new to me, of just drinking water and then maybe hydrating with like an electrolyte packet, depending on the amount of calories. I don't know if it breaks the fast or not, but that's why I have kind of trouble sleeping right now, because generally the longer I fast for, the less I sleep for as well. I've done like a 5-day fast, and then I end up sleeping for like maybe 6 hours, 4 hours, and then I just wake up feeling energized. But I'm making this video to say that I am 2 weeks off of Xanax, so Alprazolam, Diazepam, which is Valium, and kratom now. So yeah, to all the doubters that said, oh, this and that, you don't know my life story, bro. what qualifies for the people that's saying you're not a real benzo addict? Do I have to be on benzos for a prolonged period of time to be qualified as a benzo addict, to say that I'm not going through detox? When the amount that I was taking, there was a lot in my system. I definitely did have to detox from it, and I still might be doing so, but I have set up structures in place for me to be sane and be grounded. But with that being said, I also have all the pills, and I have not thrown any away. And there was one comment that I want to address, because he was like, oh, you're clearly not going to use drugs anymore in your life, right? So why not flush them all away or throw them all away? And to that, I will say, I am not ready to throw away all those pills. If I threw them all away right now, I can tell you with certainty that I would just go out to a pharmacy or to a clinic even, and I would seek out more. And I don't want to be in that position. It sounds a little bit fucked up, but when I quit alcohol, when I quit weed, when I quit tobacco, I always kept a packet of cigarettes on me when I quit tobacco. Even though I used weed to stop smoking, I kept a packet of cigarettes on me to have that comfort of, if I want a cigarette, then I have the option to smoke. Every time I threw my packets away, every time I put my packets in, unlike I would turn the tap on, put my packets in the water, throw my packets in the bin, or throw my packets away, I would always end up scavenging all around the house, looking for one more cigarette. Same thing for weed. If I threw all my weed away, I would always end up scavenging every cupboard, every drawer, every corner known to man, looking through my grinder, trying to scrape just for one more hit. Just for one more hit. When I quit weed, when I quit cigarettes, when I quit alcohol, there was always some available readily to me, and it was up to me to choose not to do so. It's a fucked up thing, but it's like having that comfort of it's a fucked up analogy, but it's almost like having that comfort of having a close family member by your side, knowing that if you need to lean on them for support, but in this case it's drugs, so it's not going to support you, it's only going to ruin your life. But if you want to lean on it for support, or you want to use this particular substance, then you can. And then when I get to a point where I'm like, it's been a month or so, and then I no longer have the cravings, or I'm in a better place mentally and my life's going great, and I realize how much of improvement my life has become after I've stopped this said substance, then I'm ready to let go. And then that's when I throw away the packet of cigarettes. That's when I threw away all my weed. That's when I no longer had any alcohol within like my vicinity or in my fridge, or maybe there was some still in the storage room. I don't know. Some people, I don't have problem with people drinking. Like, I'm not really tempted. Like when my mother has visited Bangkok, she can drink a beer. I do sometimes have my like temptations of like, I would like to have a beer right now, but at the end of the day, I know where it leads. And I have filmed some vlogs in some festivals, or like the Halloween event here in Bangkok, and that was really the only time that I was like kind of tempted to party, and I smelled so much weed around the streets. I was like, what if I just had one joint or one drink right now? But then in the back of my mind, I just knew where that would lead up to, and where I just knew the path that it would, the cycle that it would repeat. So right now, I'm still holding on to all of my pills that I have, which is probably a couple hundred, to be honest, couple hundred diazepam, maybe over 200, 300, I don't know, somewhere maybe over 200 10 milligram diazepam pills. I don't know how many trays I have left, but definitely over 100. And then I still have a lot of Xanax as well. And I have a lot of Bromalex. That's another benzo that I picked up from. Vietnam. It was Bromalex, but I was never really using. I never really used Bromalex that much. I just got it because during the pharmacy runs, some of the first few pharmacies that I went to didn't have diazepam or Alprazolam. They only had Bromalex, so I got a few trays of that. But then I found the pharmacies that had stockpiles of diazepam and Alprazolam. And like I said, some pharmacies gave me extra trays if I bought in bulk, so they were just doing business at the end of the day. We're just kind of fucked up, but hey, in third world countries, sometimes you have to make ends meet. So I don't blame them for anything, because I wanted to seek it out. I got what I wanted, right? And I visited literally so many different pharmacies in so many different cities. Even in Ho Chi Minh, my last city, Saigon in Vietnam, my last day there, I went to the party street in the morning, and I just went to the different pharmacies there to get some Xanax, and they were more than happy to sell it to me. And it's in all these touristy major cities in Vietnam or some countries in Southeast Asia where they have relaxed the laws where you can get certain pharmaceutical drugs that should be only given to you by prescription, but they'll sell it to you without a prescription, maybe at a little bit of not a higher price, right? So they make some profit off of it. But in Vietnam, it was super, super cheap. Like everything there was so cheap. So that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I got into the position that I got into. Now thinking about it, when will I throw my pills away? I don't know. Maybe in a month. Maybe once I'm more settled down here in Bangkok long term, and I have my fixed routine in place. I will say I have some certain plans to get a long-term accommodation here and get more set up, and then get my life more together here, and then I have some plans to do other things. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm just going to make videos and show you guys what I'm going to accomplish, instead of saying I'm going to go do this A, B, and C, right? And yeah, I don't plan on using diazepam, and I don't plan on using Alprazolam. I don't plan on using Xanax or any of these. I have 3 right now. I have Bromalex, I have Valium, I have Xanax. I was only using Valium and Xanax while I was here. I wasn't really touching the Bromalex. I don't really get any feeling off of the Bromalex, to be honest. It doesn't hit the same as Xanax does. And Valium just makes me feel calm, you know? And if I take enough of it, then it makes me feel kind of sleepy. But man, I was mixing both of the Xanax, Valium, and then Kratom. But yeah. Anyways, we are 2 weeks clean. I'm going to admit it, I still have hundreds of pills of everything, of all those things combined, of those 3, of the Bromalex, of the Xanax, of the Valium. Do I plan on throwing them away at some point? Definitely. But right now, as fucked up as it may sound, I'm still going to hold on to them for the comfort of the fact that I have the choice to use them if I want to use them. And ultimately, it's a test of willpower whether or not I use them. That's the same way I've quit every single other drug. If I throw them away now, I know I'm going to frantically seek them out or search them out. I'm gonna feel like that's safe. It's like a safety mechanism that if my life gets super bad, or I get super depressed, or get super anxious, or I feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack, that I have the option to use it. But I no longer carry any on me when I go outside. In my I just leave it. I just leave it where I'm at, where I'm currently at. Where most of my other medicines are, where my other supplements are, my omega-3 fish oils, my Barocca C's, my nootropics as well. I take lion's mane. I take lion's mane as well now for which is a mushroom which promotes neurogenesis, and it's good for the mind. It's good for cognitive. Yeah, it's good for your cognitive health. So I'm trying to I'm just trying to improve my life one day at a time, the best that I can. And that's the reason that I'm making this video. I don't really have any inspirational things to say because I'm just sleep deprived right now. It's like 3 a.m. and I've recorded multiple takes of this video. Some of the other takes I talked about more intimate details about my benzo usage when I was younger and my pharmaceutical prescription usage when I was younger, but I think I went too into intimate details about that. So this one was just for the haters that said, "Oh, you're not a true benzo addict" and shit. Like, some of the negative comments always get to me, I'm not gonna lie. I still have an ego about that. Even though people know nothing about you, they're more than happy to comment negative things about you, even though they don't know your story or anything about your life. So even if they're in the complete wrong, they're like, "Oh, because you haven't used benzodiazepines for 5 years or whatever, like me, that you're not struggling." And I'm not here to knock anyone else's struggles. There's definitely people that need to taper off, that have been prescribed anti-anxiety medication, specifically benzodiazepines, for long periods of time. But according to most of the research papers that I've read, and even ChatGPT, you're not supposed to be prescribed benzos for a long-term usage. There's supposed to be a short-term temporary fix for either insomnia or anxiety. And you're like the doctor that prescribed the Xanax, the 6 months prescription for Xanax to me when I was 17, said that that this can cognitively impair you, and that I don't recommend. She ultimately gave me the Xanax, but she said she doesn't recommend it because what if I have anxiety or problems in the future? Then I'm going to revert back to using this drug, and she suggested building better coping mechanisms and maybe going to therapy instead. But at the time I wasn't up for it. But like I said, now I do plan on seeking a therapist once I'm more settled down here where I'm currently living. I just have to sort a few things out, which I have so many plans right now, and I have the plan set in place. I just have to sort a few things out, and I just have to give it some time. So in 1 or 2 months, when I have my life fully sorted out and have my condo that I'm living here in, and I'm set up for the long term of staying here for maybe a year, then I will seek out a therapist, and that's when I will probably get my life together, and that's when I'll probably maybe even throw out the pills. But until then, I'm just going to take it one day at a time, become the best version of myself, practice mindfulness habits such as reading, self-study, keep myself busy, keep myself productive, do the adverse activities that I don't necessarily want to do to build my mid-singular angular cortex, which was mentioned in the Andrew Huberman podcast with David Goggins that I've linked in the community tab of my YouTube channel, and various other videos previously have multiple videos that I've recently made have clips of that podcast that I highly suggest people listen to. I also linked in my 1 month, or let me check quickly, sorry guys, I'm a little bit all over the place, it's 3 a.m. right now though. I also linked in my 1 week off of benzodiazepines, another really good Huberman Lab podcast. Andrew Huberman, for those of you who haven't heard of him, I would be shocked if you haven't seen a clip, is a neuroscientist or that teaches neuroanatomy, I think, in Stanford University, but he has a podcast separate to those teachings, Huberman Lab. Andrew Huberman on YouTube, Huberman Lab, which he has a multitude of interesting guests. And the last podcast that I linked for my 1 week video off of benzodiazepines is the Robert Greene, a process for finding, let me check the title, a process for finding and achieving your unique purpose. So that's also linked in my community tab, but you can just go on to Andrew Huberman's page. You can search him up on YouTube and find him. And I highly suggest listening to those podcasts. But I will say this, if you are someone struggling with addiction, it's really important to have the proper systems in place and the proper structure in place to get over them. You can't do it alone. For me, I've always had the support system of family members, so I've always had their support to rely on, luckily. And throughout the last year or so, I'm familiar with mindfulness. So this is something that was recently introduced to me, so I know about the benefits of meditation, yoga, reading, exercising. Now I'm doing more research into biohacking your brain's health. I'm doing some other Coursera courses as well, how to deal and manage your stress, and these are all free, by the way. The courses on Coursera. I also did the Science of Wellbeing course a few years back, maybe a little bit over a year ago, which is taught by Yale University, which taught me about mindfulness, which taught me about journaling, and that's one thing I still need to get into, is the journaling, because right now all I do is pick up the video camera and just talk my unfiltered thoughts and unscripted thoughts into the camera as a cathartic experience. I should just really start jotting my thoughts down on a journal, which I do actually have journals, but I just don't use them for whatever reason. I should start writing my thoughts down and journaling so that I can analyze my negative thought patterns, and just so I can analyze where I'm at mentally, because then I can always prevent, when I'm having negative thought patterns and negative loops, I can help identify and analyze my mind more, and that way I can create the actionable steps and put the systems in place to prevent me relapsing off of, whether it's cannabis, whether it's alcohol. I fucking hate cigarettes, so I'm not going to smoke again. But whether it's cannabis, whether it's alcohol, whether it's benzos, and or whether it's kratom. But now I know the detrimental effects that it has on my life. I'm 27 years old, and it's through reading really the subtle art of not giving a fuck that things are changing for me now. I'm also reading how to win friends and influence people to try and be more social. So if you're someone that's struggling with addiction, I highly recommend this book, because it's been a game changer for me. But more importantly than that, depending on your situation, if you're someone that struggles with addiction, you need to create the proper support systems. You need to create the proper systems in your life, structure your life, not to relapse. But most importantly, depending on the substance you use and depending on the amount, especially with benzodiazepines, opiates, and substances like heroin and things like that. I haven't personally touched those, the last two, but depending on your usage with benzodiazepines, with certain substances, you might need to seek out a detox center or medical professional help, because with benzodiazepine use, especially long-term use at heavy dosages, you have the risk of suffering a seizure, and it can be deadly to just quit cold turkey and just stop abruptly. With certain substances you have to taper off. Like I said, for me, even though in the past when I was younger I used them for a few months on end, like 2 to 3 months at a time, I used Xanax, and then I used Xanax again for another 2 to 3 months when I was 17. Then I used it again for another 2 months when I was 19. I always quit cold turkey. The first time I was switched to sleeping pills, so that's how I got off when I was 15. When I was 17, I just abruptly stopped, but I was smoking weed and I was consuming alcohol in large doses, mainly weed though. I wasn't really much of a drinker. Back when I was 17, I was mainly a pothead. And then when I was 19, When I abruptly stopped, I was drinking super heavily until again I found cannabis and then things calmed down. Now, safe to say, 5 months of sobriety, of coming tomorrow on cannabis and alcohol, January 16th. Hey, we're going to hit 5 months, which is great. Already hit 5 months of alcohol, but that doesn't really matter. All I got to say is that now we're 2 weeks clean from diazepam, Valium, Alprazolam, Xanax, and kratom. So we've got our we don't have our shit together yet, but I'm working on getting my shit together one day at a time. As someone who's 27 now, I don't want to. I've struggled with addiction over the past decade, on and off, on and off, on and off. It's been a constant cycle, it's been a repeating cycle. And now it's clear to me that I do need to seek professional help, and for me, it will be in the form of therapy. Because there's a lot of unresolved issues and traumas that eventually lead me down to this path of substance abuse, whatever it is. It's mainly alcohol, mainly cannabis, but those two, I've let go of those two for good. I'm in situations. I'm in Bangkok for goodness sake, where it's so readily available, both cannabis and alcohol. It's all around you, but I'm never. I sometimes get the temptation, but through mindfulness, I know that it's only going to lead down a dark rabbit hole. So I don't engage with those activities, and I don't put myself in situations where I am tempted, unless it's for content. But I've realized that content is not worthwhile. I rather film nature, and I rather film interesting things. That's why I'm also taking a break from my vlog channel right now. I'm just waiting for my hard drive to be repaired so I can just pick up back where I left off with some nature vlogs in the Philippines and just chill. And right now I'm not in the mental state to create vlogs, to be honest, man. As you take a break from that, I'm focusing on this channel right now, just documenting these fucking tragic ass rants as a 27-year-old man. But we're slowly getting our life together, slowly getting our shit together. It only took me 27 years to finally take the advice of a lot of my friends and family members saying, you should go seek out therapy. It's okay to ask for help. And not letting my ego get in the way. Although keeping the pills still is an egotistical move, but again, like I said, it's how I've quit every substance. I always keep some on me for the feeling of safety or for the comfort of having it there if I want it. So it's just the ultimate test of willpower at the end of the day. But I want to improve my life, and I want this year to be a great one. I'm no longer on Accutane either. I no longer have acne, which I did at the start of last year. So life is really going good right now. I just have to I need to get my routine in order, and I need to create sustainable systems in place for me to have the same daily routine day in and day out. And then on my rest days from the gym, I just need to keep active and busy and actually leave my hotel room and go outside. But hopefully in 1 or 2 months from now, I will have a condominium and not be staying at hotel rooms, where I can be more relaxed and create an atmosphere and create a safer space and create an environment that's more conducive for my mental health, more conducive for productivity and all the things that I want to accomplish. And just start creating the life that I want, and becoming the person that I want over here, and doing a bunch of other activities. Like I said, I'm not going to go too into detail about that, but at the end of the day, man, stop sleeping on yourself if you're someone who struggles with addiction. And like I said, everyone's different. Everyone has a different physiology. At the end of the day, depending on the substance you use, you seek out professional and medical help, and don't be afraid to ask for a therapist. And depending on your country and your circumstances, maybe rehab is the best option. To be honest, I should have definitely gone to rehab now in retrospect, when in my younger years it could have shifted my entire life in a completely different state. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. Why did I slip up now with benzos all of a sudden? I think to gain introspection. I would have never started this self-study and started reading again and put myself on a stricter schedule and constantly listen to some of the same podcasts or seek out growth the way I am right now. If it wasn't for this slip up, I would still probably be making vlogs or trying to chase out and seek out validation from external sources. And now, since I've really let go of social media, but in a healthy and conducive way, because I know it's detrimental for me personally, because I'm always in a constant state of comparison, it's giving me a lot of time of self-reflection. And instead of playing the victim, being like, oh, my life sucks and shit like that, like, yeah, right now I'm not in the place where I want to be, but I realize that I have to just embrace this fucking pain and embrace this moment and embrace the suck, so I can use that as fuel to make progress in my life and achieve the future and build the future that I want to build. But first I need to lay the foundation, and I need to create the foundations and put the systems in place so that I can become a different person, because change just doesn't happen overnight. You have to put the work into it day in and day out. There's a cure for sobriety, but it only works one day at a time. And it's every day you need to renew that will. Every day you need to challenge yourself and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because that is how you're going to grow as a person. So that is how we're going to end this video. If you're someone who struggles with addiction, seek out professional help if that's for you. Seek out other resources if you need them. Have a support system, whether it's friends or family. Have someone you can really actually talk to. Friends, family, or therapist. And then mainly just stop sleeping on yourself and do the necessary work that you need to do, and put yourself in diverse situations and create a better routine for yourself, because you're going to have to switch up your lifestyle. That's one thing I've learned throughout the years of quitting substances. You have to change almost, you just have to change your daily habits and who you are. And that's just done one day at a time. Small incremental changes. It doesn't have to be like, you can't do a full 180 overnight, right? You can maybe you can stop certain substances cold turkey, like weed, like alcohol, like cigarettes, like tobacco, but certain substances you have to maybe taper off of, but even with those substances, right, you can't just do a full 180. You have to still create the systems in place so that you don't relapse with any of these substances, with any of your bad habits, whatever they may be. They don't even have to be drugs, to be honest. So just that's the message at the end of the day. Stop sleeping on yourself. This has been a long ass rant. It's currently 4:59 in the morning. Goddamn. I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm gonna upload this video and then go sleep. The next videos of me being sobriety, the next sober videos are gonna be a lot more structured, a lot more well thought out, and I'm not gonna rant this much. I'm not gonna go into this much detail ever again about my life story. Specifically about my teenage years. Maybe I'll create separate videos on that, but that's only gonna be later down the road once I've accomplished a lot more than I have right now. So that being said, this one was for all the haters, so much love to you guys, but don't be so quick to judge other people, especially if you don't know anything about their life. It's just, I don't know, it just shows more about that person's character than it says about, it just shows more about that person's character than the person making genuine and authentic content, which is what I'd like to think I'm doing. I'm just speaking my truth. I'm not here to boast or gloat or like, get views or anything. Like, bro, I'm posting myself in my worst moments. Like, this is not like meant to go like viral, bro. This is just me documenting my growth and just keeping myself accountable by literally putting my face and everything out there. So this is the only form of social media I use now, is YouTube. I've literally deleted everything else. And I think I just need to stop reading the comments, to be honest. That's what I've said that I should do. Every time I open up the comments, it's detrimental to my mental health, because I always go into YouTube Studio and always check help for a review. I always check. It's like my mind wants me to feel bad sometimes. I always check, has someone spoken shit to me? Most of the comments are very encouraging, so I'm grateful to everyone who's actually commented supportive things. The majority of comments are overwhelming support, but it's always the negative ones that get to me. And when I'm tired in times like these, it just like eats away at me. If I'm in a good mood and I read negative comment, that doesn't bother me. But it's when I'm tired that it just like eats away at me and festers, which causes me to make long ass rants like this. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, it's gonna be like an hour long. But yeah, just live your best life and become the best version of yourself that you can be, because you truly have the power to create the life you want. It's just gonna take a lot of work, and it's gonna suck as well. Life is not about chasing dopamine. It's not about chasing happiness constantly. It's really truly about embracing what pain are you willing to embrace, and what suffering are you willing to embrace as well, to create the life that you want. Because it's through embracing the suck, it's through suffering, it's through pain that you can build yourself up into a stronger version and a more resilient version to tackle the problems that life is inevitably going to throw at you, because problems never stop. So at the end of the day, take it one day at a time, do the best that you can. Your boy Mitra out. Peace.
Bands or baby, serve that daily. Have a little look, ears tongue get wavy. Need some food, hanging out crazy. Same tracksuits, I'm hanging out daily. Come out, look at the smell. Leaving the crib, but you'll be back in a bit.